Sports. We are the Sports. We are the Sports.
Clear skies on a gorgeous day in Boston, Massachusetts, as we welcome you to Fenway Park. This Game 3 of the series between the Rays and the Red Sox. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an afternoon of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you looking in. Well, the Rays have dropped the first 2 games of this series, and they've lost not only 2 games, B.A., but a big bat in the lineup as well.
Well, Steven Souza Jr., so unfortunate because he just got off the disabled list on July the 21st, and guess what? He's going to go right back on. An errant Joe Kelly fastball hits him in the back of that left hand, fractures it. They're thinking right now 4 to 6 weeks. Unfortunate for Steven Souza Jr., unfortunate for the team because they lose their leading home run hitter, leads the team with 15 home runs. But for the Rays, it's next man up, and right now the biggest beneficiaries are going to be Mikey Matuk, who's going to get the start today. He's going to be in the lineup, and Brandon Guyer. They're going to see increased playing time. Let's see what they can do with it.
Rays and the Red Sox just moments away from Fenway Park, and we'll be back with all the action. Jake Odorizzi will go to the mound for the Rays this afternoon. Clear blue skies with scattered white clouds here at Fenway Park. The wrap-up game of this series. The Rays, for the first time this year, 3 games under 500. and they'll try to get out of town with a victory here in the final game of this series against Boston. Starting lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Brandon Guyer leads off in right, followed by the designated hitter Joey Butler. Evan Longoria bats third. He plays third base. At second, Logan Forsythe. Asdrubal Cabrera is at shortstop with James Loney at first, hitting sixth in front of Mikey Bontuk. Kevin Kiermaier is going to get a start against the lefty. He's in center hitting eighth, and Rene Rivera, the catcher, will bat ninth.
Well, interesting. Wade Miley making his 22nd start of the season, and what you're going to see from this lefty is fastballs on both sides of the plate, and he really does not shy away from coming in on right-handed hitters, and he uses that fastball in not only to get strikes and to get outs, but to set up that slider that he likes to go to with 2 strikes, and when he's ahead in the count, back foot to the righties.
Here's Brandon Guyer, and he takes the first pitch of this game. A little bit wide, 1 ball, no strikes. First pitch of the game presented by Pinch-A-Penny. And about the same spot out there, a little wide. 2-0. Two and one, the pitch foul back. 85 degrees here. Just a gorgeous day to play baseball. 2-2.
The other thing that you'll notice about Wade Miley is he doesn't waste a whole lot of time between getting the ball from his catcher. Today that'll be Ryan Hannigan, and getting right to work. Very little wasted.
And he misses wide. The change up there, up and off the plate. Full count now. Yeah, he sets a rapid pace, and if a hitter doesn't step out, he'd better be ready to swing the bat in a hurry.
Now, I always think that that's advantage pitcher. You set the tone, you set the tempo.
High fly ball deep into left. That one will get out of here. Home run high over the Green Monster, and the Rays take an early lead on a home run by Brandon Guyer, his 5th.
Well, the one thing that you can't do after you've had a hitter up there seeing a number of different pitches on both sides of the plate is to all of a sudden leave one right out over the middle. And that's exactly what Wade Miley does. Boy, Brandon Guyer able to get extension, and boy, does he hammer that fastball.
The 12th home run Miley has given up this year, 11 of those to right-handed hitters. Joey Butler lifting one into right field. Castillo toward the corner down there and makes the catch.
Well, let's take a quick look at the Red Sox defense and see how it lines up here this afternoon. It's brought to you by BMW. In that outfield left to right, Hanley Ramirez, Jackie Bradley Jr., and Rusney Castillo. Infield third to first, Travis Shaw had a huge day yesterday. Xander Bogaerts, Brock Holt, and Mike Napoli with Ryan Hannigan behind the plate.
Evan Longoria takes a pitch for a ball. The home run for Guyer, his first since the 18th of July when he hit one in Toronto. Connected off the left-hander Aaron Loop up there in the 7th inning of that game. A leadoff home run off the lefty Miley here at Fenway. And the tapper foul. Here's the home run swing by Guyer.
Boy, look where Hannigan is set up. That ball is right down the middle. Perfect pitch for Brandon Guyer to unload on, and he did.
There's a cut and a miss by Longoria.
And that's that slider that you'll see Miley go to down and in to the right-handed hitters. Gets pretty good depth with that pitch, throws it at a pretty good velocity. You also see the slow curve and, of course, the changeup.
Logan Forsythe. Logan starting the day hitting .282. catches the corner, says Gibson. Gibson, the crew chief, calling the balls and strikes. Count even now, 2-2. Gibson may give the hitter a little break now and then. He's not clearly defined as a pitcher's umpire or a hitter's umpire, but it seems that he will from time to time give the hitter a little break on a call. Pop fly back into right center. That's got some carry to it, and Bradley Jr. actually caught that one deep on the grass before he got to the warning track to retire the side. Rays get on the board on a home run by Brandon Guyer in a 3-2 pitch out to left, and the Rays lead 1-0. Take a look at the Red Sox lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Brock Holt leads off again, followed by Xander Bogaerts and David Ortiz. Hanley Ramirez, Mike Napoli, and Travis Shaw in the middle, with Rusney Castillo hitting 7th, Ryan Hannigan 8th, Jackie Bradley Jr. batting 9th. Jake Odorizzi on the hill, goes to work and throws the first pitch strike.
And this will be an important inning for Jake Odorizzi. You want to get started off on the right foot, and what really plagued the Rays in that game on Friday night was Rays would take a lead and immediately give it up in the bottom half of the inning.
In that game, the lead changed hands 3 times. And in the game yesterday, the Rays forced to play catch up and did, but the Red Sox continued to put a little distance between themselves and the Rays. 1-2 now to count on Holt. So Boston winners in the first 2 games, 7-5 and 11-7. Rays now down in the season series, 5 games to 6.
Well, and it's not often that you see 2 things. Number one, the Rays score runs like they have the last couple of games and lose ball games, and you very rarely see the pitching staff victimized like it's been in these first 2 games. Very uncharacteristic of this team. Poor pitching, the hitting's been okay, play has been sloppy, just some mental errors.
There's a cut to miss on the pitch up. Holt out on strikes.
Good fastball there by Jake, up in the zone to get that first out, and this is the Rays defense and how it's going to line up. Brought to you by BMW. In the outfield, left to right, Mikey Motto, Kevin Kiermaier, and Brandon Geyer. And across that infield, third to first, Longoria, Cabrera, Forsythe, and Loney, with Rene Rivera getting the call behind the plate.
Talking about all the runs scored here in this series, the Red Sox have been on a little bit of a roll with their offense, scoring 18 runs in the first 2 games of this series. Bogaerts takes a strike. In fact, they've scored 51 runs in their last 7 games, and it's the first time they've done that in almost 2 years. Just a month short of a 2-year span in which they've scored that often in a compressed period of time.
Well, there's no doubt they have made the Rays pay for mistakes out over the plate.
Look at what they've done. The Toyota trend over the last 7 games compared to the previous 9, that's night and day.
The previous 9, that's coming out of the All-Star break. So that's what they did coming out of the break for the first week and a half, and then all of a sudden flipped the switch.
Hey, there's a base hit for Bogaerts the other way. He comes in the 4th leading hitter in the American League and has a single here with 1 out in the bottom of the 1st.
He already has more singles this year than he had all of last year. That ball elevated out over the plate. He just shoots it the other way, and that's something that's made him very dangerous this year, the ability to hit the ball all over the place. His batting average on balls in play is through the roof, and it's because he's using the whole field, and he's finding holes right now. And by right now, I mean all season long.
Well, here's David Ortiz. 1 on, 1 out. Big cut and a foul ball. Odorizzi making his 17th start. 6-6 with a .276 earned run average. One and one.
You know, when you see Jake Odorizzi at his very best, he really is aggressive with the fastball. And it's not an overpowering fastball, but he's not afraid to use it anywhere in the strike zone. And when he does that, it almost puts him in an aggressive mindset where he really is attacking the hitter, and that's when he throws his best games.
2-1. Well, when you see him pitching really well, he's up with that fastball a lot. That split down, the way he pitches, a hitter's got to cover up and down and sometimes in and out.
Oh, yeah.
And back and forth.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, change of speed, and you're right, up and down and in and out. The whole strike zone.
There's a strike call. 2-2.
When we've seen Jake get into trouble, he tries to get too tricky. Just go back a couple of starts ago against the Toronto Blue Jays, where he came out of the gate, cutter, end up walking 5 guys, got hurt in that ball game by just being a little bit too tricky. Went back to being aggressive the last couple starts, throwing the ball a whole lot better.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic that it's kind of fun to play around with in terms of when do you, for example, we've seen him with a cutter, we've seen other pitchers start with that changeup before other pitches are established, and how you weave all of your pitches together to make the cutter and the changeup more effective.
This all goes into the game planning, something that the Rays are very, very good at. Not perfect, but they're very good at setting up a game plan. And so certain hitters, the cutter may be more prominently used against them than others, but how you do that is determined before. And typically, you want to establish that heater first. You know, it doesn't mean you got to go out and throw 10 or 15 and now I can throw a cutter, but it also means you don't come out cutter. You never really get the feel for anything, and you put yourself in a lot of bad counts, which is what Jake Odorizzi did in that Toronto start. So it starts before the game. You have your game plan, but you also know subject to change based on a hitter's approach.
Well, he's 3-2 with David Ortiz. 1 on, 1 out. Runner goes, a cut and a miss, and into second base head first goes Bogaerts. So a strikeout of Ortiz. Bogaerts gets his 7th stolen base.
Well, interesting no throw here. You're thinking, okay, now strike him out, throw him out, and Rivera comes up, and I don't know if just didn't have a play. I think that's what it was. You know, you get the Asdrubal Cabrera coming from that odd position coming in, but Bogaerts had that second base stolen quite easily.
Man on second, 2 gone, and Hanley Ramirez stepping in. Shot toward left center field. Kiermaier's going to have to play it off the wall. The game will be tied. Ramirez on his way to second with the double.
Well, 2 things. The Boston Red Sox offense continues to hum right along. Xander Bogaerts being able to steal second base. A little bit of late coverage of second base. No throw by Rivera. He puts himself into scoring position. Hanley Ramirez gets a mistake, and Boston does indeed answer the Rays in the bottom half. This has been, boy, that just a hanger right there in the middle of the plate. Fortunate this one stays in the yard. There's the tying run.
Now Ramirez at second. He has 50 runs batted in now. Mike Napoli's at the plate. Fastball off the plate. 1-0. One and one. Cross up there.
No doubt about it. Rene Rivera, you could see that ball coming out of the hand. I think he was thinking something hard. So he was thinking fastball. Odorizzi goes with the breaking ball. Watch him come up out of his stance. Oh, boy. And then he recognizes the break. You know what that tells you right there? That's how hard it is to hit a curveball, a breaking ball. You know, I mean, you got a catcher that's not expecting it, and that's what your body's thinking. That's why these hitters, they stay so still in the batter's box, are able to pick up the spin, read it, and then swing at it. When inside, your body's thinking up and down.
Oh, he's behind Napoli, 3-1. Base hit through the hole on the left side. The run will score, and it's 2-1 Boston. Montauk had to rage to his right to come up with it. Ramirez scores from second. Napoli driving in his 40th run.
Becoming a disturbing trend. Rays take a lead, immediately give up lead, not only to tie it up, but give the lead up to the other team in the bottom half of the inning. That's been happening way too frequently lately, and it's happened every time the Rays have taken the lead in this series.
Well, Travis Shaw is going to be the hitter, and boy, what a day he had yesterday. It's a pitch outside. Shaw summoned from the minor leagues. He had 5 plate appearances. Was 4 for 4, scored 5 runs, had 2 home runs, a double, a walk, and 3 runs batted in. 2-0. He was hitting .249 for their AAA club at Pawtucket this year with 5 home runs. But it had been hot after a slow start in the minor leagues. He got hot near the end of May and was hitting close to 300. So he carried that right into yesterday's game. Now it's 2-1 to count. Change up, missed, and the count evens at 2-2.
Maybe the Rays have found an Achilles heel here on Travis Shaw. A couple of good changeups by Jake Odorizzi, and Shaw way out in front of both of them.
Into the dirt. Runner's going to try to move up, throw down, and he is out at second base. So the Rays get Napoli as he tries to move up on the pitch in the dirt. 2-run score, and at the end of one, the Red Sox lead 2-1. And now it's Drupal Cabrera, who got the put out on Napoli to end the first inning, will lead off the second. Napoli thrown out and retired. Rivera to Cabrera. One and one the count on Asdrubal Cabrera.
Well, it looks to be like another one of those days where you're going to have to score. You're going to have to continue to keep the pressure on.
Two 2-1. James Loney will be next, and then Mikey Batuk. Three balls and a strike.
Well, leadoff base runner would certainly be nice, and Asdrubal Cabrera has worked himself into a nice count here at 3-1.
Out of play and a full count.
Maybe ball four. With these hitters, you get so geeked up to get that count. 3-1, 2-0, waiting for a fastball. You get the fastball, you swing at the fastball, except the fastball's out of the strike zone. That's frustrating.
And Cabrera is out on strikes. The pitch in.
the last 2 fastballs, Dwayne, out of the strike zone, and he ends up picking up the strikeout.
Wade Miley, 8 and 9 overall on the year. Look at his career numbers. The big Buick matchup, career numbers against the Rays.
Wow. I mean, you know, like I said, it's going to be one of those days, and apparently it's not going to be that easy. 3-1 record, that ERA minuscule at 1.07. He has the Rays numbers, but guess what? They also know what he's going to try and do against them, so they can hopefully combat that.
James Loney sends one to center, but Bradley Jr. playing him toward left center a bit, makes the catch easily.
Because the one thing that you can count on, when you've dominated a team like Wade Miley has to a tune of 3-1 with a 1.07, you're not going to change a thing with what you're doing to them, because it's not only worked, it's worked at a very high level. So the Rays should know coming in what to expect.
Base is empty. A quick worker for one thing, and they're getting that. Pitch just a bit outside, trying to pick up the outside corner, and it stayed a little wide. The strike. It's 1-1. Tapper charged by Bogarts. It's thrown. It's a quick second inning for Miley. 3 up, 3 down. 2-1 Boston. Let's go places. By Grow Financial. Don't go through life, grow through life. And by Morgan Auto Group. Make it Morgan. We make it happen. Rays got a run in the first. Boston 2 in their first. Red Sox sitting in the bottom of the second inning. Travis Shaw starts a new count. And the pitch is a strike.
You know, these are always very odd at-bats. When you have an extended at-bat against a guy, then a base runner gets thrown up, he's going to start off the next inning. You almost have to approach him as if it's his second time through the lineup. You can't come out there with that same game plan.
Yeah, he's already seen 5 pitches in that first at-bat.
And that's exactly why Jake Odorizzi came out and started him with the first pitch curveball. There you go. Go ahead and throw that thing in there, get strike one, and then go to work. But these are always odd ABs.
Ground ball right to where the second baseman normally would be positioned, and in this case it was the shortstop Cabrera over there. And hence the question often posed by my esteemed colleague with the shift on. Does that count as an out to the shift or not?
I think that one does, because you got the shortstop, and that would have been more of a situation where the second baseman was shading up the middle, which you probably wouldn't do against a guy like Shaw. So I think the shift wins that one. The ones I get interested in is when you bring that shortstop over there. And so now you got three guys on one side, and a guy hits a ground ball right to the second baseman who's playing his normal position and would have been there regardless of the shift or not. And he fields it. Now, does that count for the shift? Because without the shift or with it, it's a ground ball to the second baseman. I always wonder how they score those, because you know they do.
Well, they score and record everything.
That's right.
Castillo out on the pop fly ball, the high popper out there to center. Kiermaier needed to shade his eyes a little bit. Clear skies here, the sun out.
'85 with no humidity.
Back toward the monster there, toward left field, which tends to be a little bit to the north, the way this ballpark is laid out. A strike to Hannigan. 1-1. Ryan Hannigan, the veteran catcher. It's a big cut, fouling one back on the fastball. It's a ball, 2 strikes.
You know, to answer our question, I would think that you would have to count it, because I think all the data, the data will show that all the ground balls, 90% of them are going to go to the right side. So you just load up your guys over there. You play the second baseman based on depth. His depth is based on the running speed.
Well, there's one that goes to the right side from the right-handed hitter.
Yep.
Right through the middle of the hole over there. And Hannigan is aboard with a base hit his first time up.
See right here, I think this is something you're going to start to see more and more of as guys look for ways to try to beat a shift, or just to become a better all-around hitter and be played more straight up. Go the other way. It's worked for Xander Bogaerts, and right there it works for Ryan Hannigan.
Hannigan now has a 7-game hitting streak, and Jackie Bradley Jr. fouls this pitch back. Now, Bradley Jr. has been a mystery for the Red Sox. He's hitting over 300 at AAA again, and 119 with a home run and 3 runs batted in the big leagues this year. Opposing pitchers get him out a lot on pitches down. He's hitting under 100 on pitches down and below the zone.
Those are the things that you have to identify and work on in the offseason, whatever that is. I mean, learn to start to take those pitches. Obviously, swinging at them is not working for Jackie Bradley Jr., but that's what every player needs to do. Identify weaknesses and go into the offseason working on them, so that when you come into spring training next year, you can try to implement that new plan.
Pops it into left toward the line. Matuk over there. He's going to make the catch. A 2-out single. Man left on base. Will go to the third, and Kevin Kiermaier will open it for the Rays, who trailed 2-1. At Tropicana Field, Gator fans invited to chomp at the Trop Saturday, August 8th, when the Rays take on the New York Mets. Purchase the special ticket package, receive an orange and blue Rays hat. For tickets, visit raysbaseball.com/special events. In the third, Kevin Kiermaier leads off, bounces it up the first base side, foul. Kiermaier, then Rene Rivera, followed by Brandon Guyer. One and one.
Well, I like the fact that the Rays are getting Kevin Kiermaier out there against the lefties. So you see there's really no difference right now outside of the power numbers. And listen, his defense you want out there every day. And so to be an everyday player, you're going to have to learn how to hit against left-handed pitching and be out there against it. And with his foot speed, he can learn to really combat lefties, slapping that ball the other way, trying to beat some things out and try to crush the occasional mistake. But I like this move, and I hope we see more of it.
Yeah, the emphasis recently, the Rays have worked on bunting, and that would be another part of his game that would help keep him in there against both righties and lefties.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bottom line is you want him out there every single day for the way that he can affect the game. And defensively, if he finds his way on base, the threat of the stolen base, the fact that pitchers pay attention to him, we see that all the time. Taking extra bases, he just brings so much to the table. You want him in the lineup every day.
The cut and a miss. Third strikeout for Wade Miley.
Well, slider, cutter, whatever it was, it didn't get to the spot that Miley wanted it, but it was effective. The ball just kind of hangs up and in. That's not exactly. In fact, you could see Wade Miley's reaction like, oh well, didn't get it where I wanted, but I did get the strikeout.
Rene Rivera takes a big cut, fouls it back. But Rivera's in there. He is 4 for 10 in his career against Wade Miley. Miley spent a good amount of time over in the National League. So did Rivera. And now they face each other in the American League. Two balls and a strike. Miley last year with Arizona was 8-12 with a .434 earned run average. And he has Rivera out in front. 2-2.
Well, known for working quickly. We've documented that. Known for the ground ball. He was another one of these starters that Boston envisioned at the beginning of the year, rolling up tons and tons of ground balls.
And he's still done a pretty good job at that. The rate not what it was last year with Arizona. That's off a little bit, but compared to what else has gone on here, that rate's close to 50%. Back at third. Shaw with a long throw, safe at first. So the Rays get a base runner. Shaw deep back of the bag, and with Rivera, who does not have great speed running, he had a shot, and Rivera got there just in time.
That is a long throw, and at the very end, you're going to see Mike Napoli's foot just peel off the bag. Let's see if he beat it anyway. Yeah, he probably would have beat that anyway. That was so bang, bang. The foot's starting to come off. Boston right now taking a look to see if they want to challenge perhaps. Well, this is the new baseball. Everybody frozen in time.
Yep.
Looking for the call from the videographer. Austin Chico said forget it.
So there is what turns out to be an infield hit. Be ashamed to take an infield hit away from a catcher. So hard to get.
Yeah, no doubt.
Strike one to Brandon Guyer. Starts him with a changeup this time. Guyer's home run in the first to lead off the game, his 5th of the year. And he strikes.
You know he's going to get hit today. You know that.
Well, he's been hit 13 times this year.
And when a guy hammers a fastball that's out over the plate, you immediately think, I got to make him uncomfortable. I got to pitch him in. You pitch him in, he stays in there, and he gets hit. Ooh, tried to right there. I'm telling you, anything close, not only will he not concede ground, but he's got that technique down where, hey, look, it looks like I'm trying to get out of the way, but I'm really sticking a body part out there to get clipped.
Yeah, and he would really ruin a pitcher's plan ahead of him 0-2 if he got hit then. This one lined into right. That will stay up and be caught by Castillo. Rivera ducks back in at first. Rays down by a run in the 3rd inning of game 3 of this series. Kansas City and Toronto scoreless in the bottom of the 4th inning in Toronto. Rivera back in.
That is a news flash. Toronto's been held without a run for the first 3 at-bats.
How about that? Well, what a lineup they have put together now. 1-0 to Butler. Rays have fared very well against left-handed starters. In fact, they're 17-11 in the games when the opposition starts a lefty. And this is the beginning of what appears to be a run of 4 left-handed starting pitchers against the Rays on this road trip with Wade Miley today. Rays will be moving into Chicago. Jose Quintana will pitch tomorrow night for Chicago. Then Chris Sale in the middle game of that series. It appears the Rays will get lefties in all 3 games in that series against them. Tapper, that will kick foul and stay that way, picked up by Shaw as Butler will return to the plate. Pitching matchups right there, and you have checked the big one in the middle of that series. Chris Archer and Chris Sale. That's Tuesday. We'll be with you at 7:30 for the middle game of that series. Boy, that is one that you do want to make a little notation about. Be sure you don't miss that. Sale and Archer. Now we go to 2-2. Rays facing Wade Miley, a left-hander out of Hammond, Louisiana, in the New Orleans area. Down to third. Nice pick by Shaw. Throw to first in time to get Butler. The Rays leave a man. Bottom of the 3rd coming. 2-1 Boston.
The Rays will add another player to the roster tomorrow as Matt Moore will be optioned to AAA Durham. Here's the manager, Kevin Cash, with his thoughts on the move.
There were a couple factors. One that this is the first time we've had an opportunity to go to a four-man rotation. It's definitely not fair to ask Matt Moore to go into the bullpen, and we need to get his innings on a consistent track because that factors into what he's capable of doing next year for us. But most importantly, we need to get Matt Moore back to being the guy that he is. And we know as an organization going forward, he's a huge part of what we're doing. And I think this stability, keeping on his 5 days, will help.
So, guys, with the off days coming up, the Rays can stay in a four-man rotation all the way until the second game in Houston on the next road trip. And for Matt Moore, 6 starts, just was fighting himself, was looking at video from all the way back in 2011, wasn't quite working for him. So now, less pressure situation, gets to work things out at the minor league level. Back to you.
Yeah, and that's always a difficult decision. You appreciate that, but at the end of the day, it's not a punitive move in any way. It's an effort to try to improve a situation and make this be a positive step for both the club and for Matt Moore.
That's it in a nutshell. Asking Matt Moore to try to figure things out at this level under this scrutiny in the middle of a playoff race is really unfair to both him and the team. And you're right, he'll be able to go down there under less pressure, less scrutiny, and be able to work things out, figure things out, and when he's right, you'll see him back here.
Because what we've seen, we look at the wild card there, the Rays 4 back with the Angels atop the wild card standings and Minnesota in that number 2 position. So Baltimore, Toronto, the White Sox, and the Rays all with still a shot. Xander Bogaerts fouls it as Holt was out swinging on the changeup, and the foul ball, strike 1. And what Kevin Cash pointed out is exactly right on target. Matt Moore is and has to be a big part of the future of this team, and that hasn't changed. Oh, and now Bogaerts is hit by that pitch. So he'll head to first. The third man Odorizzi has hit this year.
And if you're going to hit somebody, not a bad guy right now, because he's been tearing it up, make him a little bit uncomfortable. He comes up and in, and Bogaerts not able to get that left elbow, left arm out of the way.
Bogaerts on base again. 1 out this time for David Ortiz. Similar situation as the first when Bogaerts singled his way on with 1 out. Strike 1 to David Ortiz. More on the Rays left-hander Matt Moore. For what we've seen, the velocity seems to be headed in the right direction. When he first came up, he was a high velocity guy, and even before the elbow injury, not as consistently as high as he was when he first came up. So if you start to compare where the velocity was then and where it is now, it's in that same neighborhood right now. Command is the big issue.
That is the issue. Obviously you want to see that arm strength come around and the velocity to continue to climb. But even if he was stuck right now at 92 to 94, if you can command that to both sides of the plate, look what Odorizzi does with, low 90s velocity. If you can command it around the zone, you can be successful. And Matt Moore has the secondary pitches. He's got the 4-seam fastball that he can work all over, and then all of a sudden the curveball and the changeup. So he has the pitches to be successful, but he's got to get them where he wants them. And right now, that's the issue. He's not missing by a little. He's missing by a lot, and that just does not allow for sustained success.
1-2, the count to Ortiz upstairs. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The other thing about Matt, he's hard not to root for. And so you want to see him do well. In 2013, he was 17-4 in 27 starts. Still 2-2 here on Ortiz. And for the sake of moving forward post Tommy John surgery, that's probably a number that should just be put aside. That's irrelevant right now as his recovery and return to being an effective major league pitcher is concerned. In some cases, it could be a hindrance if that's always in the back of one's head trying to duplicate that. Forget about that. He's got all the stuff that could make him a very effective pitcher for a long time post surgery, but command's going to be the thing that will get him there.
You have to take it down to its most base level. I want to throw a baseball right where that catcher's glove is, and you do that time and time and time again. Once you're able to establish that, guess what? All those numbers will come back.
Fly ball deep to left. Matuk will go to the wall. It's over his head. Bounce back where Longoria comes out to try to pick it up. The run will score. Bogart scores from first on a booming double by Ortiz, and it's 3-1.
This is where playing the Green Monster becomes difficult, because you've got to recognize when the ball's going to be over my head and when it's not. And that's the judgment that you've got to make on the fly out there as an outfielder. You get too close to the wall, like Matuk does here, thinks he's got to play up. Okay, now you got to start chasing it. And that's why you see everybody getting involved. Kevin Kiermaier coming over to help out. Evan Longoria going out to help out. That's why they do it, to try to cover potential mistakes. And Evan is the guy that actually ends up picking it up. But it was a great read by Xander Bogaerts. By the time that ball hit the wall, he was already halfway to third. He knew that ball was going to be off the wall, and that's by virtue of playing here all the time.
19th double for Ortiz. He's at second with one out. Here's Hanley Ramirez.
And I guarantee you, when the Rays have come in here, they talked to Kiermaier, they've talked to Evan, and they said, listen, if you're not part of the cutoff crew, me talking to Evan Longoria, when that ball is out there where you have a young left fielder that's never really played much here at Fenway Park, you know, mistakes like that.
Yeah, here's Matuk now. Boy, you can see the route that Longoria started to take on that popper, and it wound up fair by quite a little margin as Matuk made the catch.
Now watch this. You got a young left fielder, potential mistakes. Okay, get back close to the wall, the ball's off the wall, and now look at all the guys you have out there to try to help cover that mistake, including your third baseman. And that's something that I guarantee you that the Rays have talked about when they come in here to play at Fenway Park, to cover those types of situations.
Here's Mike Napoli with Ortiz still at second, 2 outs now. The breaking ball is high to Napoli. Napoli got a run batted in the first. Missed the fastball. Might have been a change, a big cut. I think he was out in front looking for the fastball. 1-1. Napoli normally sees a lot of pitches per at bat. Doubled up on the change up there, and it's 1-2.
Well, 2 very good ones by Odorizzi, and it's quite obvious that Napoli, see it coming out of the hand straight. He's thinking fastball. He's swinging at fastball.
It's foul, out of play. Two runs in the first, another run in the third. The Rays got a run in the first inning. They trailed by 2. And after all the changeups, a fastball, but up out of the zone there. Takes the count to 2-2.
And that could be just a, hey, if you want to swing at that pitch, go right ahead because you're not going to be able to do anything with it. But just to, you throw a lot of off speed in a row and sometimes you lose the field. Maybe come back with a changeup again here.
And he got him. That's exactly what he did. He struck him out on a changeup. Through 3, 3-1 Boston. Your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag #SSDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Evan Longoria leads it off. It's a strike. Evan looking for a fastball and was out in front of the off-speed pitch. 1-1.
When you're down 2 runs, you want to be aggressive. That's what Evan Longoria is looking to do here. Try to jumpstart his team. Wade Miley has settled in after that first inning run.
Now to play, 1-2.
That's one of those fastballs that I think Evan Longoria, and we've seen it here a number of times in this series and frequently this season, he gets that fastball out over the plate and that swing gets just a little bit too long, like he's really looking to launch, and he ends up fouling him off instead of hitting him hard, where he would do if he would just shorten that swing a little bit. But it's almost like he gets a little bit long and dips with the swing and just catches a piece of that baseball, and then off it goes on a pitch that was very hittable. And I'm sure that he sees the same thing. If he goes back and looks at video and says, okay, that Wade Miley fastball is right out over the plate. Those are the pitches I need to hammer.
Chop to third. Shaw handles that with the throw to first. So Evan is 0 for 2, the first out of the 4th. Now Logan Forsythe. wide to Forsythe, 1-0. Another one down to third. Shaw takes care of that, throwing a strike across to first.
Hey, I got an idea. We can move it away from Travis Shaw because he's making the plays. No weak spot there at third.
Well, Butler went out third to first in the last inning for the Rays, and Longoria and Forsythe out third to first. First two hitters here.
It was a good effort, good try, just not working out.
Asdrubal Cabrera. One of the 3 strikeouts posted by Miley the first time through the order. He chops it to third. That's a foul ball. Shaw's going to go ahead and make the play anyway. But a foul as he reached across into foul territory. Well, he's getting a workout down there.
He's being tested. But you know what? That's something that you'll see a lot with Wade Miley on the mound. Number one, you're going to have a lot of right-handers in the lineup, typically. A good changeup down and away. He likes the fastball down. He gets a lot of ground balls. There's going to be a lot of rollovers, and a number of them are going to go to third base. So there's nothing new here.
Oh, and this went down off the foot. Cabrera now down on the count and taking a little time to get the good feeling back.
Boy, he hammered himself.
Rays got a run in the first on the Geyer home run. Since that leadoff home run, only one base runner, and that was Rivera's infield hit. You can see another ground ball down on that third base side, this time foul. Lined up with 7 right-handed hitters in there. Loney and Kiermaier, the only lefties. Loney is on deck. 2 outs with the bases empty. And Cabrera down in the count. Ground ball right side. This one will go through. The Rays pick up hit number 3.
You know what? Very nice adjustment made there by Asdrubal Cabrera. He's down in the count with 2 strikes. He'd been rolling over the pitches that were in. You know, he hammered one off his foot. This time, the ball coming in, he stays inside of it. He lets that ball get into the zone, pulls the hands close, stays inside it, and shoots the ball the other way. That's a tremendous adjustment made by a veteran hitter.
So Loney up here. First time lifted a fly ball into center, a bit toward left center, handled by Bradley Jr. It's a ball, no strikes. Wade Miley 1-1 against the Rays this year, 3-1 in his career. Beat the Rays 1-0 at the Trop back on the 21st of April. And lost a game 4-1, giving up 2 runs. The 27th of June in a matchup against the Rays. Now he's in front of Loney with the ball 2-strike count. Will be out of play. Did he go? He checked. 2-2. Rays trying to get something going. Just a couple of singles since the home run by Geyer.
Well, Loney, a pretty good at bat so far, and he's seen everything that Miley has to offer outside of the changeup, and he doesn't throw many of those to left-handed hitters.
So the count is full.
Well, that gets Cabrera and his bruised foot in motion.
Line drive. That's going to be a fair ball and go back toward the corner, rolling all the way to the low wall. Cabrera being waved around. He will score. No play at the plate on a double by Loney. And the Rays do put a run up on the board, making it 3-2.
That's why managers always want action on that 2-2 pitch in this type of a situation. Because once you don't get it, you're going to put a runner in motion. And if a hitter can find a gap or find a line, that runner's going to score more times than not. That's what happens here. A breaking ball, Loney gets out and around it. And you could see right here, once off the bat, right fielder Castillo's not even in the picture. And Cabrera is going to roll home easily.
Well, Mikey Matuk up here. Loney at second with 2 outs, 1 strike to count to the Rays left fielder. Couple of home runs, both off lefties, one off Mark Burley and the other one off Mike Montgomery. Ground ball headed to short. Bogarts makes the play on this one. Rays get a run on a couple of 2-out hits and trail 3-2. Last Tuesday, the newly enshrined Hall of Famer right-hander Pedro Martinez had his number 45 retired here at Fenway. Pedro Martinez won 3 Cy Young Awards and was an 8-time All-Star during 18 years in the major leagues. Number 45 retired. Bottom of the 4th, Travis Shaw takes the pitch low from Jake Odorizzi. Jake through the first 3 has given up 3 runs. There's a base hit up the middle. Shaw, who was on base 5 times yesterday, has a single in the 4th inning.
And you know what? That's the second time we've seen Shaw do that against the shift. If you want to run the shift against Shaw, and you see how the Rays are lined up right here, you got an open alley. If you go back up the middle and only one defender on the left side, and so that ball down and away makes it easy for Shaw to just go ahead and take his single, which is the smart play. Nobody out, nobody on. Base runner.
Thursday Castillo in the batter's box takes the pitch for a strike. It's 1-1. Castillo just recently back from Pawtucket. It's 1-1. And coming into this game, Castillo's had a pretty good run on this homestand. 8 out of 20 with the home run. Ground ball right side. Forsythe picks it up and still has a play at first and a range to his left, so they get Castillo, and the lead runner Shaw moves into scoring position.
Well, I think Logan Forsythe was thinking that ball was hit pretty firm by Castillo, so he's thinking, boy, I got a chance to at least get the lead runner. And that ball just rattles off the thumb. And you could see with his footwork, he was going to turn inside and try to get Shaw at second base, but not so once the ball came loose.
Well, good thinking, because he had Shaw, who's not a speedster, and the ball hit firmly, so you're thinking about the lead runner. There's Ryan Hannigan. Hannigan extended his hitting streak to 7 with a base hit his first time up. Nice stop by Rivera. Two and 0. And low again. It's 3-0. Pretty good location on that last pitch. And that might be a case of where Gibson occasionally gives a hitter an advantage. And that 3-0 pitch is a strike. 3-1. Ball outside of third, and the count's going to go full. And in regard to Greg Gibson, maybe giving the hitter a little bit of an advantage, but not much of one when he was behind the plate when Randy Johnson threw his perfect game against Atlanta in May of 2004 for Arizona. Of course, with the big unit out there, not many advantages for hitters in any case.
No, not with the stuff that he features.
3-2, and a roller to short, handled by Cabrera. Out at first on the play, Shaw advances to third. So he's there with 2 outs for the number 9 hitter, Jackie Bradley Jr. Your Tampa Bay Rays committed to energizing our community through the magic of Rays baseball and supporting great organizations who care for the citizens of Tampa Bay. Join us over the next 2 weeks as we rally around the valuable players who promote wellness in our community. We raise up for health. How do you raise up? Here's Jackie Bradley Jr. Pitch outside, 1-0. One and one. Ground ball first. Loney unassisted, stepping on the bag. We go to the 5th. It's a 3-2 ball game. Here in Boston, clear skies. The Rays down by a run, and Kevin Kiermaier trying to get aboard. The bunt attempt that he missed, strike one.
You know, I do have to say this, Dwayne. I've been down now in the Tampa St. Pete area since 2008.
Yep.
What is this weather pattern that's going on?
It's hard to explain, isn't it?
I mean, move along. Okay, we get it. I mean, uncle on the rain. It's absurd. And we're not even there, but I'm tired of looking at the map and seeing just the green constantly.
Yeah, enough's enough.
Yeah, I mean, if it's got a name, You know, if its name is Belair, I mean, who knows? Whatever the name is, that's fine. But it doesn't even have a name. It's just a system that won't go away. It's like the in-laws. Just go.
Oh, we're going to go there.
Entirely too long.
Uh-oh. 2-2. There's no upside there.
No, but it'll make for some interesting text, phone calls.
Sure will. Oh, a broken bat. The bat and the ball headed in the same direction. Holt picks up the ball and throws out Kiermaier. One away. Rene Rivera is going to walk to the plate.
But you know what I mean. You get the picture I'm trying to paint here.
Yeah, because I'm not offended. No, I get you. Maybe if they named it, you could name it. Maybe that's what it's hanging around for. Looking for a name, then with an identity, you can move on.
Then you'd have to name it something that just has hung around a little bit too long. Well, a lot of names.
Hard to choose one.
Where are we in the alphabet at this point? I'll give you one.
1 ball, 1 strike here on Rene Rivera. Two and one. Now 3 balls and a strike to Rivera. Top of the order, due next. Good cut. A 3-1 changeup. So the count is full.
Yeah, and that'll put some doubt in your mind if you're Rene Rivera. He's willing to go 3-1 changeup. Certainly willing to do just about anything.
And he strikes him out. Came right back with the 3-2 changeup. So 2 up, 2 down in the 5th inning in the game today and all season. Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Here's Brandon Guyer. 1 ball, no strikes. Guyer gave the Rays a short lead with a leadoff home run in the first, only to see the Red Sox score 2 in their half. Boston got a run in the 3rd. The Rays picked up a 2-out run in the 4th inning. 2-1 now on Guyer. 2 outs now in the 5th with the bases empty. Three and 1. And there's a walk. It'll be the first walk the Rays have picked up in this game.
How about this? That is now the 20th time that Wade Miley has issued a 2-out walk. And those sometimes can come back to haunt you. You just lose your concentration for one hitter, a 2-out walk. You saw what the Rays were able to do last inning with a 2-out single by Cabrera. Turned that into a run.
Well, Joey Butler up here to see what he can do with the lefty. He's retired on a good play by Shaw down at 3rd his last time.
And keep your eye on Wade Miley. He has 4 pickoffs this year, just giving up 1 stolen base in 3 attempts.
Guyer ducking back in. Well, the Rays 3 games under 500 for the first time this year. and they're 6-9 when they play last place teams. And we've noticed a tendency to do that. The Rays will seemingly up their game against top tier teams and then suffer a little bit of a letdown sometimes against the lower tier.
That's where, you know, consistency comes into play. And that's where really, when that trend starts to be noticed, and we've noticed it for a while, that's where your team leadership needs to take over and say, hey guys, you know, the Philadelphia series continues to stand out. The lack of energy in that series was astounding against the worst team in baseball. And that really speaks volumes of what you just talked about. And so you've got to go out and take care of your business. What the other team's going to do, whoever they are, let them be.
Yep.
You go out and you be consistent in your approach, no matter who you're playing against. That's what you need to do.
Because the way the wild card has stacked up, really the way a lot of these teams have stacked up, every game is so important. I mean, here the Rays have just come off a very difficult month of July, and yet we saw the standings a couple innings ago. They're still within striking distance in the wild card.
No one can get out of their own way. Just keep playing ball, and you're going to have a chance.
Butler chops to short. The force at second. Bogarts to Holt. Rays leave a man. Middle of the fifth. 3-2 Boston.
Three to two on a perfect day to be in the monster seats here at Fenway. Beautiful sunshine, a light breeze. Mikey Matuk below us here at the Fenway Green Monster. What a weekend it's been for him. First of all, Friday, he goes from Durham to Boston. No problem, plays in a game, couple of hits and 4 at-bats. Then he is told he's being sent down. So Saturday afternoon, catches a flight into Durham, goes straight to the ballpark in Durham after arriving at 5 o'clock. And then in the 8th inning of that game, learns he's heading back to Boston to rejoin the Rays because of the Steven Souza Jr. injury. And here he is with a flight this morning back in Boston. The good news is, guys, did not have to spend any money on cab fare. His buddy Richie Schaefer picked him up at 5 a.m. this morning. What a good teammate.
Yeah, that's a teammate, a good buddy indeed, to pick you up at that hour. This is Forsythe taking care of Holt, who pops out. So the bottom of the 5th inning underway. Yeah, the Rays have had to play musical chairs with the roster for a lot of reasons, and more recently with the injury to Souza Jr. So starting play today, the Rays had made 104 roster moves. Still 2 months to go. There's Xander Bogaerts. Strike one. One ball, one strike. Bogaerts and then Ortiz. Bogaerts has scored 2 of the 3 Boston runs today. 2-1. See Steven Souza Jr. with a fractured left hand, out 4 to 6 weeks. Mikey Montuk was recalled from Durham, and Matt Moore will be optioned to Durham. It's set to officially take place tomorrow. So the Rays will make at least another move tomorrow, which would give them 105.
Okay, Dwayne. Counting today, that is 100. That'll be 105 moves. We go to tomorrow. It'll be 105 moves in 119 days of the season.
Chopped down to third. Longoria takes care of that, and Bogaerts is out of there. You know who deserves special recognition? Is
yes, I
Chris
do.
Westmore.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you that as the traveling secretary of a Major League Baseball team, it's tough enough. That is a thankless job, and he does a great job. But to have those numbers of roster moves inside a season and to get it done flawlessly, that's special. That's really special.
And then think about what he has to delegate down into Jose Fernandez, Pepito, into the clubhouse, getting lockers ready, uniforms ready.
I mean, that's a full-time job in and of itself.
Without the moves.
Yeah.
With a 25-man roster that stays intact, it's a tough job. Let alone when you are moving bodies like that.
105 moves in a season, that's a full-time job. I'm telling you. I mean, that's amazing. Two and one to count on David Ortiz. 2 up and 2 down. Ortiz doubled in a run in the third. 20 home runs for him this year. And the cold hard facts brought to you by Clean Chris Coors Light. On the all-time home run list versus the Rays, he is second to Alex Rodriguez, 46. That's going to be strike 2 to run the count full. Well, the pitch count's getting close to 90, not quite yet there for Odorizzi. With 2 outs and a full count, and Ortiz heads to first. He's on for the second time. Ramirez to the plate. Hanley Ramirez, who doubled in a run in the first inning. Ramirez takes that pitch for a ball. Two and 0. 2-1. Rizzi gave up the 2 runs in the first and then another run in the third. That was a result of a hit batter and then the Ortiz double. Ortiz at first with 2 outs now in the 5th. Headed toward the middle, and that'll be a forced play. Forsythe steps on the bag. We go to the 6th, 3-2 Boston. Geyer opened the scoring with a home run to lead it off from the leadoff spot in the top of the first. Red Sox got 2 back in the bottom of the inning. The go-ahead run scored by Hanley Ramirez after he had driven in the tying run. Then the Ortiz double in the 3rd made it 3-1. The Rays got a run on James Loney's 2-out double in the 4th inning to make it 3-2, and we go to the 6th inning. Evan Longoria lines it into center, and it's caught. 1 away. Jackie Bradley Jr. running in front of that line drive to catch it. That'll be Logan Forsythe. Logan homered here in yesterday's game. Ball, no strikes.
As the Rays now see Miley for the 3rd time, you really want them to force him up into the zone. He has made his living, a few strikeouts, but down in the zone, a lot of ground balls. And so you want to see him up, especially this may be the last time you do see him.
2-1. Forsythe hit a 2-out home run in the 9th inning, his 12th of the year. That game yesterday in the 11-7 Boston victory. It's 2-2. Shaw scoops it at 3rd. Forsythe is the 2nd out in the 6th. Ladies, you can now take DJ Kitty with you everywhere you go with the DJ Kitty face bag presented by Hooters. All ladies can grab theirs while supplies last. Friday, August 7th, when the Rays take on the Mets. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Rays up. Asdrubal Cabrera. He is 1 for 2 with a run scored, and the pitch is too high. 1 ball and no strikes.
A really nice at bat last time, and the Red Sox have changed their defensive coverage as they've got now Mike Napoli way off the bag over in that hole that Cabrera was able to victimize them his last time up. Mike Napoli right here, that's about where the ground ball from Cabrera went before he was driven in by James Loney. So a little adjustment made defensively.
Big cut and a miss, now 1-2. Two outs into the 6th inning with the Rays facing Wade Miley, the 28-year-old left-hander out of Louisiana. He is 8-9 overall this year with a .465 earned run mark. Cabrera hanging in there with a 1-2 count. It's 2-2. And now what was once a 1-2 count goes full with that pitch thrown into the dirt.
And I don't think Wade Miley was completely sold on that pitch. He went through shaking off Ryan Hannigan 2 or 3 different times to get to that slider down and in, but then threw that with no conviction whatsoever, and that's why he spiked it.
3-2, and that one is skied towards center. Bradley Jr. under this one, and the Rays are up and down in order. Bottom of the 6th coming up. 3-2 Boston. "15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance." By Circle K. Get your favorite size Polar Pop for just 69 cents all summer long. And by Checkers. Mix and match our famous Big Buford and Big Chicken Deluxe. Get 2 for $5. Bottom of the 6th inning underway with Mike Napoli leading off. He took the curveball for a ball. One and one. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Napoli drove in a run with that base hit in the 1st inning. That was his first hit ever off Odorizzi. You see Cedeno, the lefty, up in the bullpen. Napoli right now 1 of 8 in his career against Odorizzi, and now 1 of 9 with that strikeout. Got him for the 2nd time in a row on strikes, using the changeup each time.
Well, he's such an aggressive hitter. It's going to obviously play a big part of the game plan against him, but you got to put yourself in position. And he does just that. And look at that pitch, just bottom out. As Mike Napoli commits to the swing, the baseball is gone.
Now Travis Shaw, there's a strike. Play 1 and 2. Odorizzi and Miley, the starters, still both around here in the bottom half of the 6th. Two balls and 2 strikes. Travis Shaw has made an impact here in this series, to be sure. Young man out of Washington Courthouse, Ohio. It is fouled back 2-2.
I know that town.
I was just going to ask if you were familiar with that part of the state.
I was. That's closer down near the Dayton area, southwest. Had a college teammate that played at Wright State from Washington Courthouse. I believe it was I-35 that would take, not I-35, State Route 35 that would take you there, I believe.
The hometown of Travis Shaw as well.
Hey, once you get down to that Dayton, Cincinnati area, you got some guys that can swing the bat that come from down there.
And he has another hit. He's showing us he can swing the bat in this series. On 5 times yesterday and 2 for 3 today. Yeah, he's swinging the bat as if he would prefer to stick around here as opposed to Pawtucket.
Well, we've seen versatile. You know, this pitch right here stays elevated out over the plate, so he's going to get extension and hit it hard. We've seen the good changeup down and away, him take his hit the other way because of the shift. We've seen him hit for power. A bomb yesterday to straightaway center field. He's been impressive here in the couple of games we've seen him.
Want to know the count to Castillo, who is 0 for 2. It's now 2-0. That's a foul ball. Takes it to 2-1.
He's struggling down there a little bit. Ball girl down the left field line. Good hustle.
Still a tough park to play the carom. You know, a lot of different angles here in this ballpark.
That's why you got to get to it before it gets to the low wall, or you will be running out onto the field chasing it down. No doubt.
Runner takes off, and a comebacker to Odorizzi. His throw to first, scooped over there by Loney. Shaw moves up to second.
Well, runner in motion, no chance for the double play here. And Odorizzi doesn't really step into this throw, and that ball actually does bounce over there to James Loney.
So Jake now at 107 pitches, 2 outs and a base runner on second here in the 6th. Jake made 110 pitches when he pitched against the Red Sox here on May the 4th. That was in a 5-1 win. Down 3-2 right now. Hannigan takes a rip and fouls the fastball back. Strike one. Jake had a no decision against the Red Sox at the Trop in April. Gave up a run on 3 hits in 6 2/3. And then in that 7-inning stint, 110 pitches here, just 1 run on 7 hits. One the count. So it's 3-7-0 for Boston, 2-4-0 for the Rays. And a strike will give Odorizzi the jump in the count, 1-2.
That changeup up and in to Ryan Hannigan, catching that top portion and inside portion of the strike zone. And now Odorizzi 1 pitch away from getting out of this situation. Can't let Boston extend this lead anymore.
Still 1-2, and he's dealing with the former Rays catcher. Chris Archer, did he make that play?
He did not. And the ball went through the hands, kind of bounced up, and I think if he would check his hair, it's somewhere in the back of it got stuck. Watch it right here. He's coming out, going to make the play. Nope. Bounces off the camera right back. No, maybe he did get by. I got to say that the hair has won out over the hat. That's been a battle, an ongoing battle. And Chris Archer said, listen, I'm not changing hats. His hat, it's your gamer. It's like your glove. And with the hair as impressive as it has become, it definitely owns the hat at this point.
But he has said he just doesn't change it. He makes it all work somehow, some way.
It's like the Rays with the roster moves. He's going to adjust the hat 105 times in 118 pitches.
1-2 the count on Hannigan. The foul ball again down that way, and Archer trying to get out of the way of that one, and the carom almost got him.
He ran away from the ball, and you're right, the carom almost clipped him. Watch him trying to get out of the way. Got to put the brakes on.
A little loose turf down there too. Pop fly. Kiermaier coming in. He's there and makes the catch to retire the side. Ball game heads into the 7th inning. 3-2 Boston. Rays down by a run. Promised earlier in the game. We've selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag SS Data Strong Fan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. James Loney will open the 7th inning for the Rays against Wade Smiley. Miley has made 107 pitches, 64 for strikes. And the pitch in there for a strike. Loney doubled off Miley in the 4th inning, and that chased home the 2nd run for the Rays. What a pleasant afternoon here in the classic setting that is Fenway Park. Seventh double of the year, driving in a run off the breaking ball.
Well, the body got started early as he was a little bit out in front, but he kept the hands back. And that's what gave him a chance. And boy, he made the most of it.
Ground ball. It's Holt, the second baseman, making the pickup after moving to his right. One away in the 7th.
How about Miley at 111 pitches? He's none the worse for wear. Continues to make good pitches to both sides of the plate. A couple mistakes that the Rays capitalized on, but right now the beneficiary of a 1-run lead.
Mikey Montuk looks at the pitch low. Two balls, no strikes. Miley made 111 pitches back in the middle of June. So he has surpassed that total with 114 right now. And right back with a strike. That was on June the 16th in a win here at Fenway over the Atlanta Braves. Bradley in center takes care of the fly ball. 2 outs. So 2 up, 2 down, and Kevin Kiermaier is on his way to the plate. Kiermaier in here against the lefty is 0 for 2. He struck out in the 3rd inning and hit a ground ball to second. His last time up, that was in the 5th. Hot shot toward the corner, down the line, fair. One hops the low wall. Kiermaier already around second. He's going to dig for 3, and he will make it well ahead of the throw. Kiermaier's a 3-base hit up the right field line, and now the Rays have the potential tying run at 3rd. It's the 11th triple of the year for Kevin Kiermaier.
Don't give him that opportunity. He's going to take it each and every time. He comes Miley comes with a fastball. It's down and in. And all of a sudden, Kiermaier just drops the head up the right field line, hit it hard, and then off to the races. And really, Boston had no shot. This throw here from Brock Holt, if anything, a nice scoop there by Travis Shaw. Could have gone anywhere, but.
And the Red Sox make the pitching change. Back in a moment. Wade Miley out after 6 2/3.
Well, and Wade Miley, outside of a couple of misplaced pitches, this one leading the game off. First at bat, a home run to Brandon Guyer, but then he would go to work, and he had a good mix today. Again, moved that fastball both sides of the plate, showed a good changeup, sprinkled in some breaking balls here or there, and he's put himself in a good position. Although I will say this, if I'm Wade Miley, I'm not real happy right now. I mean, he's at a career high in pitches, no question about it. But if someone else is going to come in for me, I don't want it to be another lefty that has similar stuff than I do. And that's what Boston Red Sox here have done in replacing Wade Miley with left-hander Robbie Ross Jr.
Yeah, 120 pitches, Miley's career high in pitch count. And the left-hander Robbie Ross Jr. in here. Kurt Casale will pinch hit for Rivera. Man at third with 2 outs, and that first pitch way up. And Hannigan had to make an athletic reception of that one to keep it from getting by him.
Well, this is, I mean, like I said, if I'm Wade Miley, I'm like, I could have done this. I could have finished this. One more out to go. Robbie Ross Jr. comes in, immediately almost fires one to the backstop. We saw him struggle the other night.
Now 1-1. Tried the curveball there. Ray's got a couple runs off him in 2/3 of an inning, and he hit a couple men in the game here on Thursday. Ooh, and he got Casale there, hit him.
Well, again, I mean, this is bonus benefit here for the Rays. You go from one lefty who was dialed in to a lefty who, like you said, struggled the other night. And 3 pitches in here, he's almost thrown one to the backstop. He just hit Kurt Casale. Right off the knuckles. That ball just grazing the knuckles. Take your base.
First and third with 2 outs. And Brandon Guyer, who opened the game with a home run off Miley. That's here against Ross Jr. Ball 1. Top half of the 7th. 1-1.
This move should not be allowed to work. Brandon Guyer needs to come through right here.
Rays have a 2-out threat. And that Tapper foul sets the count at 1-2.
When you're down to 2 strikes, you think about shortening the swing. You think about the middle of the field. You think about putting the ball in play and giving yourself a chance.
It's upstairs. 2-2. And the count is full.
And he almost hit Brandon Guyer there once again. We talked about how he stays locked in there and not afraid to take one.
Here we go, 3-2. And ball 4. He tried the slider 3-2, and it stayed wide. And the bases are loaded.
Well, here it is, full count delivery. You know, that ball, according to Fox, tracks right on the corner, but when you get a catcher having to reach all the way across the plate because you've missed your location that badly, a lot of times the call will not go your way, and now you're down to, there are no mistakes left to be made. Bases are juiced.
This with 2 outs keyed on the triple by Kiermaier. That was it for Miley. Casale hit for Rivera and was hit by a pitch. Now the walk to Guyer to load the bases. Joey Butler will be the hitter for the Rays. Ross getting a visit there. The Red Sox talk over this situation. Carl Willis, the pitching coach, returning to the dugout. Now they work to Joey Butler. And a cut and a miss. Butler aggressive on the first pitch. Big cut. Strike 1.
Well, we see that from time to time. Joey Butler, so much of his success for the Rays has been up the middle the other way, but he'll turn it loose.
Takes that one inside. A couple sliders here to start this at bat with Butler.
Well, now you're starting to get greedy and thinking about a base hit, giving you the lead here if you're the Rays.
Cut and a miss. So he's staying with that slider into him.
Now, the one thing that I'll say, Joey Butler, he's maybe a rookie. Major League service time, but he's a veteran hitter, and so this is where, as a veteran, you need to make the adjustment and be able to cover that pitch if Ross comes back with it again.
He fouls it back. Still a ball, 2 strikes. One, 2. And he got him. He stayed with a slider throughout the at bat and strikes out Butler. So the Rays put up a threat and they leave him loaded here in the 7th inning. Still a 1-run ball game. The game summary brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. A one-run game at Fenway. The Rays jumped out with a run on the home run by Brandon Guyer in the first. Boston took the lead in the bottom half of the inning. Added a run in the third. The Rays a run in the fourth. Wade Miley 6 2/3. Two-run baseball. The Rays did load the bases in the top of the seventh with Joey Butler up there against the lefty reliever Robbie Ross Jr.
Yeah, and really the moment of the game so far. Slider, strike one, and then off the plate. But he's going to stick with this pitch. Another good one down and in, and he's in the count 1-2. Hangs this one. That was the one that you wanted to see Joey Butler bust. He did not. He fouled it off, and then he would come back with another one, middle of the plate down. Joey Butler over the top of it. So a steady diet of the slider, and he's able to punch out Joey Butler and get out of that bases loaded jam and preserve what is right now a one-run lead for the Red Sox. Well, it's going to bring on Xavier Cedeno for the 42nd time, 27 1/3 innings of work, 24 strikeouts. And he will be facing here at the bottom of the order, Jackie Bradley Jr. here leading it off in the bottom of the seventh.
So Odorizzi's out of there with 113 pitches, 68 strikes. Gave up 7 hits in the 6 innings, 3 runs, 2 in the first and 1 in the third. Walked 1, struck out 5. And it's Xavier Cedeno to face Jackie Bradley Jr. First pitch is a strike. Bradley with a fly ball to left back in the second, and he grounded out to first base in the fourth. Cedeno worked an inning in yesterday's game. Liner into center. Kiermaier's there to catch it. One gone in the bottom of the seventh. Kids, you can take Raymond home with you Sunday, August 9th, when the Rays play the Mets. Kids 14 and under receive a Raymond soap dispenser presented by Advantica. All while supplies last. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Rays Baseball. Top of the order, Brock Holt steps in for the 4th time today. Twice he has struck out, popped to second his last time, and he takes the pitch for a strike. One and one. Two balls and a strike. We have a 3-2 game here in the bottom of the 7th. Toronto batting in the bottom of the 8th, leading Kansas City 3-2. Tigers lead Baltimore 6-1. Top of the 9th at Baltimore. The Yankees now lead the White Sox 9-0 in the bottom of the 5th in Chicago. It's on the inside corner, says Gibson. 3-2. Just foul. So we'll do it again. 3-2. So a season high 113 pitches for Jake Odorizzi, matching his career. Cedeno in there now, and another foul ball. This one into the Red Sox dugout. It's close quarters in these dugouts. Not a lot of room to escape anything that goes into the dugout.
Ask Chris Archer.
Cut to miss. Cedeno finally takes care of Holt.
Well, that's that cut fastball by Cedeno, and that was a nasty one there.
So with 2 outs, the bases are empty. Bogarts due up, and Kevin Cash comes to the hill to make a pitching change. 2/3 of the inning for Cedeno. Will return in a moment. Tomorrow on Rays Live from Chicago, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. We'll hear from Nathan Carnes, who's after win number 7 tomorrow. And Orestes will break down the White Sox slugger Jose Abreu. It's the first game of the 3-game series. Our coverage will commence at 7:30 tomorrow. The opening game of the series against the White Sox. Steve Geltz, the new pitcher for the Rays. Geltz in for an inning yesterday and had a little issue with his command. He's on to face Bogarts with 2 outs and the bases empty. Xander Bogaerts has been on twice and has scored 2 of the 3 Boston runs.
You know, he just continues to swing a hot bat for the Boston Red Sox. Came into this ball game with a .319 average. We've talked all series about what he's done with runners in scoring position.
Fouls it back, 1-1, coming off a very good month of July. It was a struggle for the Red Sox and a struggle for the Rays in July. As a result, the Rays 3 under 500 right now as they play on the 2nd day of August. That's a strike. It's 1-2. Yankees up by 5 on Baltimore, Toronto, the Rays, and then Boston. Liner into right. Geyer's there, had to shade his eyes. Takes care of that one. We go to the 8th, 3-2 Boston. For more information, go to KubotaDealers.com and buy your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. At Fenway Park, temperature has been in the low to mid 80s today. Clear skies and a one-run ball game. Rays will face Junichi Tozawa entering the 8th inning.
Well, look at the strikeouts to innings, just about 1-1, but the walks is what really jumps out at you. Just 7 walks in 45 innings of work. You know he's going to be around the plate. He does have very good stuff, but he's going to be cutting through the heart of the Rays order with Longoria and Forsythe, the first 2 up here against Tozawa. And I really think, Dwayne, that this is the inning you got to make your move, because you certainly don't feel real good about Uehara on the bottom of the Rays order, but certainly the heart of the order against Tozawa, they've got a shot.
So it'll be Evan Longoria to lead off against Tozawa. Tozawa pitched an inning and a third on Thursday, gave up 3 hits. And here's Evan to start the 8th. He takes it for a strike. Breaking ball in there.
Well, and this is where, if you're Kevin Cash, you start to look for opportunities. Where can I get John Jaso into a ball game for an at-bat, a big at-bat? You need base runners.
And a long one down the line and left. That ball is going to be fair. High off the green monster. Longoria digs for 2. He's in there with a double. Evan Longoria opens the 8th inning with a 2-base hit, representing the potential tying run.
Well, this is where you got to make your move. And Tozawa, as good as he's been, you know he's going to throw strikes. So you're looking for something straight. You're looking for something that's a mistake. And Evan Longoria gets it. Fastball not anywhere near its location. He wants it down and away. That ball's more middle in down. And Longoria able to dot that off the monster and get into second base.
Well, there it is, the potential tying run in a 3-2 game. And here's Logan Forsythe. Forsythe pops it up on the right side. Holt shading his eyes, and he makes the catch. And on the first pitch, Forsythe is retired.
Well, it's an out, and it's an unproductive out, and that's the unfortunate thing. Longoria not able, obviously, to move up on that play.
Now it will be Asdrubal Cabrera. Cabrera singled and scored the 2nd run for the Rays in the 4th inning. Cabrera in here, 1 of 6 in his career against Tozawa. Foul ball for a strike.
And if they're going to stay away from Asdrubal Cabrera, they are handing you an RBI single to left field, and you don't even have to hit it that hard. You know, first of all, Travis Shaw has to stay somewhat close to third base in case Evan Longoria were to decide to run. Other than that, you've got a ton of territory. And if they're going to feed you pitches away, take it.
And this one is lifted the other way, foul, headed for the stands. The count is 2 strikes.
Well, we saw him earlier in the game from the right side stay inside a pitch. Actually, it wasn't even a pitch that was away. It was coming in, but he stayed inside it and shot it the other way. So he's fully capable of doing that. A pitch away, easier to take away.
Pitch is up. And now it's 1-2. With the fastball, 2-2. So ahead in the count, Tazawa trying to entice Cabrera. Count square now, 2-2. Shot back into deep right. Castillo all the way back, and that ball will bound over the wall. It took a big hop over the bullpen, and the Rays have tied this game on doubles by Longoria and Cabrera. It's a 3-3 ball game. When that ball over Castillo's head, took a big hop right over the bullpen.
Well, look at that elevated heater. He stayed in the same area with the same pitch, and that you just cannot do to a big league hitter. And Asdrubal Cabrera, you know, he's just seeing fastball after fastball after fastball on the outer half, and finally a mistake, and he hammers it.
And now the Rays have the potential go-ahead run in scoring position. Cabrera at second with James Loney the hitter. Loney fouls the fastball back. That one at 94. So doubles by Longoria and Cabrera, and the Rays have tied the game. Loney with a little popper into shallow center. That ball's going to fall. Here comes Cabrera to the plate. Rays take the lead on a base hit into center by Loney, and that makes it 4-3. Loney got it just out of the reach of the center fielder Bradley coming in, and the shortstop Bogarts going out. Neither could come up with it, and the Rays lead 4-3.
Well, that didn't take long, and this is the inning you felt the Rays needed to make their move, and boy, have they in a big way. A couple of doubles, and then this single here by Loney. And you go from a game where you're trailing almost all day long, and in a matter of minutes, boom, take the lead late. Great job.
Mikey Matuk. It's too high. Rays picking up 2 runs, 3 hits, 4 runs, and 8 hits on the day. Matuk sends a fly ball into center. Bradley Jr. there making the catch. And holding at first is James Loney. Get Kevin Kiermaier to the plate. Kiermaier gave the Rays a chance in the 7th, picking up his 11th triple of the year. Rays left the bases loaded him with 2 outs. Left them that way, but they've scored 2 to tie and to take the lead here in the 8th. And a strike call to Kiermaier. go? Yes, he did. He tried to check. And the count is 0-2.
Low glider. Well, Kevin Kiermaier trying to make his case. He did not go and made a pretty good one. That head never got out there, but there was a lot of movement. Sometimes that's what you're looking for.
The 0-2. Kiermaier takes it close. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Just off.
Cut and a miss. Strikeout got him. But the Rays come up with 2 big runs. The double by Evan Longoria keys the inning, leading off with a 2-base hit with 1 out as Drupal Cabrera doubles to right, tying it. He scores on the base hit by Loney. Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Boys and Girls Clubs help young people reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible citizens through programs promoting character and leadership, education, healthy lifestyles, and more. For information, visit foxsportsupports.com. Jake McGee will head to the mound for the Rays here in the 8th inning to face the middle of the order, beginning with David Ortiz. Hanley Ramirez will follow, and then Mike Napoli do.
Well, another inning where the Rays have taken the lead and they need the big shutdown here. It's late, and McGee gets the first shot.
First pitch is high to David Ortiz. Ortiz had that long 11-pitch at bat here Thursday night when McGee got the first 2 outs, and then Ortiz walked. He skies this one to the right side, and Loney just inside the line back of first handles that for the first out. So a little quicker in disposing of Ortiz this time. 1 away.
Well, this is one of those outings that if you're Jake McGee, you dream of. You know, he gave up the big 2-run homer on Friday night to Mike Napoli on a pitch that, you may see it again here in this next at bat, but you get an opportunity to come back out against that same part of the lineup, this time with a lead once again and kind of right or wrong. So expect to see McGee's best here.
Hanley Ramirez, pitch a bit close. Cut the foul ball out of play. Fastball 95. Blue Jays have beaten Kansas City 5-2. Tigers beat Baltimore 6-1. Yankees have a big lead on the White Sox 9-0 in the bottom of the 6th in Chicago. There's a pop-up foul ball coming back toward the screen. That's Casale, but he runs out of room. It's a 1-2 count. Ramirez doubled, drove in a run, scored a run in the first. Side, the bat lands in the stands off to the left side. The count is still 1-2. Retrieved the original bat for Ramirez, and he makes a switch. The bat that had come from the bat rack will go back to that fan in the stands. And a foul ball, and that got part of Casale. Casale getting some commiseration there from the plate umpire Greg Gibson after taking that foul ball. Well, there is a similarity and a common experience shared by catchers and plate umpires.
And Casale did everything right there. He had his throwing hand hidden behind his leg to get that out of the way. And that caught him right in that right shoulder. That little piece of padding over the shoulder doesn't do enough.
Still 1-2 the count to Hanley Ramirez. Ramirez getting a little extra time to get comfortable in the box. Pitch is low, and it's 2-2. Hit off the fastball. He got it between short and third. And that's going to get Mike Napoli to the plate, who essentially decided the game here the other night.
Well, still not sure how he was able to get to that pitch, but he got enough of it. Obviously short in left field, hit it high, it bounced right off the top of the wall, and that was the difference in that game.
Well, Ramirez is going to leave the game after picking up a base hit. And Diaz is going to run for him at first base. So Diaz is the runner with one out, and Mike Napoli about to step in. It's a ball low. Down again.
Call that a strike.
And that's a strike, says Greg Gibson. And Napoli, who sees a lot of pitches normally, as many as any hitter, didn't like that call.
No, I mean, it's very similar height-wise to the first pitch of the at-bat. Gibson liked it, and he's got the final call.
This one shot down the left side toward the corner. That is a foul ball. Again, not a lot of foul territory down there, but clearly foul.
That was too close. Too close for comfort. Now look at the bright side. Now you've got 2 strikes on him. And Jake McGee, think about climbing the ladder once again. They've been trying to pound him almost down and in early here in this at-bat. I think if you change his eye level right now and you go up and away again, there's no way he gets it. No way.
And he got him. He got ahead of him 1-2 and then fed him the curveball and strikes him out.
Well, you go from a ball up the line, a foot foul, to this right here. You got the fastball in, off the plate, ball 1, right out over, strike 1, ball hammered, and then you drop the curveball. You talk about it getting the guy out in front. Wasn't really expecting this pitch right here. Everything kind of buckles and the swing way out.
There's a strike to Travis Shaw, the fastball. Cut and a miss. 0-2. So a couple of fastballs up. And the count is 0-2. Still a 2-strike count. Diaz, the runner at first. One ball, 2 strikes. Curveball again.
And we're seeing that more and more. I mean, that would be a pitch with Jake McGee that you may not see for a week or 2 at a time. I mean, truly, he was just fastball after fastball after fastball, and for good reason. But now, you may see it a couple times an outing. Good pitch for Jake.
And a cut and a miss on the fastball, 98 up over Powers Shaw. We're headed into the ninth with the Rays leading 4-3. Coming up on Rays Live, the post game presented by Checkers. Rich and Orestes will anchor the coverage. We'll have the press conference. Kevin Cash, Todd Callis will interview Rays in the clubhouse. All of that coming up immediately following our coverage of Rays baseball. Koji Uehara, the fourth pitcher of this game for Boston. The Rays will have Casale to lead it off against Uehara on for the 41st time.
Well, Boston going all in here, counting on their closer to come in, a shutdown inning, and hopefully they can try to come back. That is their thinking. The Rays, they're thinking, hey, let's add on. Already got a one-run lead. Like to give a little bit of room to who you assume is Brad Boxberger. Will be on for the bottom of the ninth. The good work by Jake McGee.
Piazza stays on to play left. Uehara got the save, his 23rd of the year Thursday. He did issue a leadoff walk to Cabrera, and he faces Kurt Casale. First pitch is a ball. Geyer and Butler due to follow in the Rays half of the ninth inning. That's a strike. It's 1-1. Sally way out in front of the split.
Well, that's something that Kurt Casale is going to have to make the adjustment on. We saw the damage that he did to the fastball and that little home run streak that he went on. But since then, it's been a lot of off speed, a lot of show me fastballs. And that's what he'll have to learn to deal with.
And he is out on strikes, caught looking. Now, that's the other thing about Uehara. He'll get you swinging at a split out of the zone, or maybe taking one in the zone.
He uses that pitch in so many different ways to go along with the fastball, and it's been so effective.
Brandon Geyer bunts, pops it up, and Uehara makes the catch on the bunt attempt. A couple of quick outs here on the called third strike, and then on the first pitch to Geyer, he's retired. Butler due, but John Jaso will come off the bench to hit. So the Rays get a left-handed bat up there against Uehara. It's interesting in that when you go strictly left-right, left-handed hitters are batting only 132 off Uehara. Right-handed hitters 239. High fly ball deep into left field. Diaz it to the wall. He's going to have to play it off the wall. Bradley will play the carom, and Jaso has a double. A pinch hit double for John Jaso.
Well, you're not going to be able to sneak that fastball by John Jaso. And so the right approach off Uehara is you want to see the ball for a long time to try to be able to determine fastball or the split. And so Jaso waits back. It's a fastball. He's been trusting his hands, been swinging the bat great lately, and so he fires him through the zone and gets himself into scoring position.
Jaso with 2 pinch hit doubles in this series. Now it's Evan Longoria. Evan takes a cut at that first pitch. Fastball up. And he fouls it back for a strike. Well, he liked that pitch, the first offering of this at bat. He'd love to see it again. Evans' double in the 8th keyed the 2-run inning, which the Rays took the lead. Pitch is down, and it's 1-1. And he checked in time. Splitter a little bit off the plate and down. 2-1.
Absolutely on the check. I think you saw the reaction of Uehara. I think he was more upset about not only did he not swing at that pitch, but the previous pitch looked like a pretty good strike fastball.
2-2. That pitch was there, and then it wasn't.
Yeah, well, and you know that's that's the difficulty of facing Koji Uehara.
Jaso at second with 2 outs in the 9th. And Longoria lays off. The pitch dropping out of the zone. 3-2.
You just cannot commit early against him. And you almost have to think you just have to have quick hands and just sit back. Just like Jaso. Jaso's approach off Koji was perfect.
3-2 into the dirt, bounds halfway back to the mound, and over to third base goes Jaso. So a walk and a wild pitch, and the Rays have men at first and third. That'll give Logan Forsythe a shot against Uehara. 2 men on with 2 men out. Forsythe is 1 for 4 in his career against Uehara. And he takes a strike. He gave up 2 runs. Tazawa gave up 2. Uehara pitching here in the 9th. And he gets ahead. Throwing the splitter for strikes. 2 called strikes. And now that's a tough spot to be against this guy. Down 0-2. Foul ball. That's straight back. Will be out of play. Rays took the 4-3 lead in the 8th. We're in the 9th. Cut and a miss. Forsythe out on strikes. The Rays leave 2. Castillo due to lead it off, followed by Hannigan and Bradley Jr. for Boston. Highlight presented by H.H. Gregg, and we go to the 8th inning for that.
Junichi Tazawa's going to come in and try to lock down that 8th inning. Longoria had other plans, a leadoff double. And then how about this right here as Drupal Cabrera with 1 out and 2 strikes hammers that ball for a ground rule double, ties the ball game. Loney's going to flip one into center to give the Rays the lead, and all of a sudden they have come storming back to take that lead and look to close it out here as we head into the bottom of the 9th.
Brad Boxberger takes over on the hill. His numbers 25 of 27 in save situations. Overall 4 and 6. This is his 46th appearance. Rusney Castillo leads it off. First pitch is a strike fastball. Castillo fly ball to center and a couple of ground ball outs, one to second, the other one back to the mound. And that one at 95, a little quicker from Boxberger, and he's up 0-2.
Boy, that swing there by Castillo was long and slow. May give you a pause on going with that changeup if you're Boxberger.
And he got him, stayed with the hard stuff and struck him out.
Yeah, I think that they either recognize that, but that swing on the previous pitch was long and slow. And so the right move there by Boxberger and Casale, stay hard, and they just blow him away. He had no shot at that, none.
Well, Ryan Hannigan is due, but Pablo Sandoval, who's had a sore forearm and has not played in this series, will now be called upon to pinch hit. So it'll be Sandoval to bat for Hannigan, who had a base hit in 3 at-bats to extend his hitting streak to 7. But now it's Boxberger and Sandoval the matchup. Fastball is a strike call. 4 straight fastballs here from Boxberger. It's 1-1. So Sandoval 1 of 2 against Boxberger. That hit a home run. It's fouled back. Now 1-2. One-run ball game, bottom half of inning 9. And he got him. He went up with the fastball and strikes him out. Could not catch up there.
Just overmatched here so far. Boston hitters against the fastball of Brad Boxberger. Doesn't help that this pitch is up shoulder high, and at that velocity, very difficult to get to. No chance.
Bradley Jr. is due to hit. Blake Swihart, the young catcher, will come on to bat for him. The pitch is a strike. The fastball. And that comes back and catches the zone. 0-2. Two outs in the ninth. 0-2 the count to Swihart. He's swinging 0-2 and fouls it. So Swihart has earned another pitch from the Rays right-hander Boxberger. One ball, 2 strikes. More hard stuff from Brad Boxberger. And he got him. Struck him out with a changeup to end it. He got Castillo fastball, Sandoval fastball, got ahead of Swihart with the fastball, ended it with the changeup on a swing and a miss, and the Rays close out this series with a 4-3 victory over the Boston Red Sox. They scored 2 in the 8th to grab the lead, and the bullpen will make it